So directing is one of the most important functions, or we can also say that management functions through directions. Practical oriented questions are necessary to see your understanding of the concepts of the chapter. So we all know that market is a place where buyers and sellers meet and exchange the goods and services. Hello everyone, welcome to this introductory session on business studies. I am Purnima, faculty, Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence. So in this introductory session, we will be looking into what is the scope of syllabus. So in this scope of syllabus, I will be explaining to you about the contents, the entire syllabus. I'll give you a brief introduction of the syllabus related to second PUC business studies, then division of syllabus, how the syllabus has been divided into 12 chapters, then the weightage of marks. Now, what is the weightage of marks we have for each chapter? Then the question paper pattern, then details of tests and exams, and textbooks for reference. Okay, so this is the content of this introductory session. Now, coming to the scope of syllabus. So in the scope of syllabus, we will be just covering the entire commerce. So this business studies will be a foundation for your higher education. So whatever you learn in your higher classes, that is in your second year, first year and third year BCom, so you will get to know what are the subjects you will have in your next graduate course of BCom. So in the scope of the syllabus, so the syllabus will be covering firstly, mainly in part 1, we will be covering the entire portion of management. So, what is management? Then all the principles of management and all the functions of management you will be studying in detail. Then next will be in part 2, you will be covering the financial market and financial institutions, and then we will be also studying about marketing, and lastly the consumer protection. So the scope of the syllabus is quite vast. So it will help the students to know what are the various activities involved in business, and also it will help the to kindle the entrepreneurship activities or abilities in students. Okay, so that is relating to the scope of syllabus. Next is we come to the syllabus. What is the syllabus here? So first one is nature and significance of management. So in this chapter, we will be studying about what is the significance of management. As you all know, management is the art of getting things done through others, or management refers to a body of individuals who are running an organization, or management means it also in the verb form, it is the work which is done by the topmost level of the institution, or topmost people who are heading the institution. So we will be just going into the meaning of the word management and the nature of management and the significance, how important it is to manage. So the hours allotted here is 11 hours. So they are allotting 11 hours for us to study what is the nature of management and the importance of management. Now, in the next chapter, we will be studying about principles of management. Now, what do you mean by principles? So, principles are the guidelines to be followed. So, in this, we will be just studying about the various principles of management. Now, what are the various principles? So, who has laid down these principles? All this we will be learning in this second chapter. So, the two foremost important personalities you will be studying is, first one is scientific management, which is given by F.W. Taylor, and then we also have the modern management. So the principles of management, we will come across two great personalities. One is F.W. Taylor, second one is Henry Fayol. Now, F.W. Taylor is also called as the father of scientific management, whereas Henry Fayol is called as the father of modern management. So, these two great personalities you will be introduced to in this second chapter. Now, when F.W. Taylor tells us about scientific management, Henry Fayol will tell us about the 14 principles of management which are relevant even today. So, you will be studying about these two great personalities and their whatever the contribution to the field of management is very vast. So, these two great personalities have contributed for the subject of management. Then next one is, third one is business environment. So, we all know the meaning of the word business. So, business is always done with the aim of earning profits. Now, what is the meaning of the word environment? Environment is nothing but the surroundings in which we live, or here we will be studying about the business environment. That means what is the surrounding of the business, or what are the situation in which the business is surviving. So, it may be the internal environment of the business or the external environment of the business. So, all these things you will be studying in this third chapter. So, they have allotted 5 hours for this third chapter. Next, fourth chapter comes to planning. So, we all know the meaning of the word planning. So, what is the meaning of the word planning? Planning is nothing but bridging the gap between the present and the future. So, in planning, we will be studying the meaning of planning, then we will also study the nature of planning, and then we will be studying the importance of planning, various types of planning. So, sitting plans, standing plans, rules, procedures, strategies. So, all these things we will be studying in this fourth chapter. So, for planning, we have been allotted 6 hours. Then, next chapter comes to organizing. Now, what do you mean by organizing? How do you organize a business? What are the various things you need for organizing a business? So, the 4 M's of business, as you all know: men, money, materials and machinery. So, all these things contribute for a organization. So, whenever you want to set up an organization, you should have all these 4 M's of business, and along with this, the 5th M, that is management. So, when you have all these 4 along with management, then certainly you can start a very good business. So, organizing is the second step in management. So, in this organization chapter, we will be studying about the various tasks or various functions which have to be done in the organization, and then we will also be creating departments, we will be creating positions in this organization, and also we will be seeing the authority responsibility relationships, and finally we will also be studying about what is delegation of authority and decentralization. So, all these things we will be studying in this chapter called organizing. So, a huge vast chapter. So, it will almost take 11 hours for discussion. Then next and the foremost important is staffing. So, we all know that staffing is the most important function of management. So, no business can survive without human resource. So, human resource is the most important resource of any business. So, it cannot run without, if you have jobs and if there is nobody to do the job, who will do the business? So, we need to have people to run the organization. So, any large organization cannot be run by any one single person. So we need a group of persons or a group of individuals who are trained and highly skilled and trained and knowledgeable to do our jobs. So the next most important function of management is staffing. So what is this staffing? As I told you earlier, in the organizing function, so we would have created various departments, and in the departments we will have various positions. Now in the staffing function, we will be hiring all the persons for each of these positions. So in the staffing function, we will have to recruit people. Now what is the meaning of this recruitment? Recruitment means we will be hiring people. Now how do you hire people? Hiring people means you have to invite applications for the various positions in the organization. Then once you invite applications, you get lot of applications, and then you will have to scrutinize those applications and you find the most suitable ones, those who are eligible. You conduct interviews, then you make them undergo training, and then you see that they are in your organization, they are doing your job. So this is the most important function of management, which is called as staffing. In other words, the right person for the right job. So that is what we mean by staffing. If in one word, if you have to explain the meaning of staffing, it is nothing but the right person in the right job. So this staffing, it will be covering up almost all the recruitment process, selection process, and also the training and development process, on the job training and off the job training. So you will be having 14 hours allotted for this staffing chapter. So coming to the 7th chapter, now we will look into what do you mean by directing. Directing is nothing but you are supervising the work of other people, or you are giving instructions, you are giving orders to your subordinates. So as we all know that in an organization, there is an authority and responsibility relationships, or we also have the superior and subordinate relationships. Now, whenever a superior issues an order, it is known as direction. So, he may be giving instructions or he may be giving orders to his subordinates. All this we will call it as direction, or directing. It is through direction only management will run. Direction, we will be studying about the theories of motivation. The most important theory being Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. So in this theory, we will be studying about how the needs arises in man. Then, so for this directing chapter, they have allotted 11 hours. Then next one and the most important thing is controlling. Now, what do you mean by controlling? So, controlling is a Siamese twin of planning. So, why do we call controlling and planning as the Siamese twins? Because both are inseparable. Wherever we have planning, we should have controlling also. So, planning and controlling go hand in hand. So, if you have a plan, then you should have controlling also. Why? Because whatever you have planned, your activities or implementation of the plans is very, very important. So, when you implement your plans, and you should see that your plans are going as per the, or your activities are going as per your plans. So, if you have intended to do something, then you should also check whether you have done that work. So, in this controlling function, we will be checking on whether our work is as per our plans. So, it is the most important function, and it is through this controlling function we see that the organizational goals are achieved. So, for this controlling chapter, we have allotted 6 hours. Now, so all this comes under part 1. So, of part 1 of the textbook, we have these 8 chapters. So, these 8 chapters you will be seeing in the book 1. Then in book 2 or part 2 of the business studies, it is containing 4 chapters. So in these 4 chapters, we have the first one or the 9th chapter, that is financial management. Now, what do you mean by finance? So we all know that finance is nothing but money. So we also know that finance is nothing but arrangement of money. So we also know that finance is a source of money or financial market. So here they are telling us about financial management. So what is management? We all know management is nothing but handling, supervising other people. Now, when you bring it to the context of the word financial management, it is nothing but managing your finances. So here it is, we just relate to the managing the finances of a joint stock company. So that is very, very important. So here we don't look into individual finances, but here we are looking into the financial matters of a joint stock company. Then next comes the financial. So financial management, we have 11 hours. So how do you manage your finances? Whether your finances comes from the shares or whether it comes from the debentures or whether it will come from the bank loan. So all this we will be discussing in this 9th chapter. The next comes the 10th chapter is the financial market. So what is this market? So we all know that market is a place where buyers and sellers meet and exchange the goods and services. Now here they have told us about financial market. So finance is related to money. So what do they mean by this financial market? So financial market is a place where you can acquire a source of finance. Source of finance. So what is the source of finance for your business? So how you can acquire finances from this financial market? So this one we will be studying in this 10th chapter, which will be discussed for 11 hours. Next one is the 11th chapter, that is marketing. So we all know that what is a market, who is a marketer, what is marketing. Why? Because market is a term which is most commonly used by us in our daily lives. So most of us would have visited the market and we all know what is a market, how it looks like. So we have felt the presence of the market. Now we are discussing about marketing. So what is this meaning of the word marketing and how it came into existence and what are the various aspects of marketing? So all these things we will be having a quick look in this chapter. So in marketing, we will be looking into the various aspects. So what are the various activities involved in marketing? Right from buying, selling, assembling up to the advertising, promotion and final sale. So what are all the activities involved in marketing? A very, very interesting chapter. So that we will be discussing in this 11th chapter, that is marketing, a very vast and a very huge chapter which will be taking up almost 21 hours. Then next one is consumer protection. So who is the consumer? So once you sell the goods to the ultimate user of the goods, he becomes the consumer. Now consumer protection. So why the consumer needs protection and what are the various acts under which the consumer needs protection? So all these things we will be discussing in this chapter, that is consumer protection. So why the consumer needs to be protected? So we all know that consumer is the king. So in the context of marketing, if you just tell, so we will say that the consumer is the king. But then if he is a king, why should he need protection? So that aspect of this chapter we will be discussing in this consumer protection. That will be the last chapter in the syllabus, which has been allotted 5 hours. So this is relating to the syllabus for business studies of 2nd PUC. Now, next is we look into the chapter-wise weightage and marks allotted. Now, in the first chapter, if you can remember, we were discussing about the nature and significance of management. So, for the nature and significance of management, so from the first chapter, you will get 11 marks. So, of which for 1 mark question, we have 1 question. So, 2 marks 1 question and 8 marks 1 question and 5 marks that is 1 question, that is POQ. So, POQ means practical oriented questions. Now, so next is, so all this adds up to 11 marks. Now, for the second chapter, if you remember, second chapter relates to the principles of management. So, for the second chapter, we will be getting 9 marks. So, how it is, what is the breakup of this? So, here we will get a 1 mark, 1 question for 1 mark, 4 marks 1 question and 1 practical oriented question. Now, the third chapter, if you can remember, it relates to business environment. Now, business environment, so this chapter we will be getting totally 5 marks. So, out of this 5 marks, we have 1 1-mark question, 1 4 marks question and 1 5 marks question. Then the next one we have here is, fourth one is planning. What is the total marks allotted to this chapter? There are 7 marks. From the planning chapter, we can score 7 marks. And from the next, that is organizing chapter, we will be scoring 11 marks. And next, from the staffing chapter, we will be scoring 15 marks. So, depending on this, so you have to see what is the area of concentration. So, for which chapter carries more marks, so we have to try to concentrate on those chapters so that your score becomes more. Then next chapter will be related to direction. So, this chapter carries 11 marks with the breakup of this. So, 1 mark question we have 1, 2 mark questions 1, 8 marks 1 and 5 marks 1. Then after direction, the next chapter is related to controlling. So, this controlling chapter carries 7 marks. So, first the basic thing is you have to see the weightage of marks and then you can plan your studies. So, almost all the 1 mark questions, you can see that it is coming from all the chapters. You will have 1 mark questions and then 2 marks questions. So, only for chapter 2 you have 2 questions and for all other chapters you have only 1 question for 2 marks. Now, even for 4 marks, if you can see, only the 9th and the 11th chapter, they are giving 2 questions for 4 marks and all others you can see that they carry only 1 question from each chapter. So, the practical oriented questions, if you can see, so it is almost all the chapters have practical oriented questions. Now, what is the need for having practical oriented questions, you may ask. Now, practical oriented questions are necessary to see your understanding of the concepts of the chapter, how well the student has understood. Practical oriented questions help us to know whether the student has understood the concept or not. Now, mere knowledge is not sufficient. We should know how to apply the knowledge in our daily life. Application of knowledge part, we will be doing it through practical oriented questions. So, they help us to see and understand whether the student has whether he really knows how to apply the knowledge which he has gained through this business studies. So, you can see that practical oriented questions, almost from all the chapters we are having 1 single question. Then if you can see this, so total marks tally, the 11th chapter carries the highest marks. So what does this 11th chapter relate to? It relates to marketing. So marketing is very, very important. As you all know that, so any number of goods you may produce and keep it in your godown, but if it does not remain, if it is not sold, and if it remains in the godown, it is of no use at all. So until the product reaches the hands of the consumer, this marketing is not complete. So marketing is an essential part of business, or any business cannot do without marketing. So marketing helps the businessman to make the final sale, or it brings the product to the hands of the consumer. So the consumer will be able to use the product and he can give a feedback on the product. So marketing is very, very essential, a very huge chapter and the most important chapter of business studies, and it is also very easy for you all to remember this chapter also. Okay, then coming to the last chapter, that is consumer protection. So this is very, very essential for all of us. Why it is essential for all of us? Because all of us are consumers. So we all make use of the products which are available in the market. Now, if you have been duped, or if you have been cheated, or if the seller has made false promises, then what are the rights you have? Whom can you approach in case you have been cheated? So businessmen make lot of promises to see that their products are sold, but then it is the ultimate consumer who gets cheated by all these false promises. Now, if you have been cheated, then whom will you approach? Whom should you approach? So what are the laws which protect the consumer? And all these things we will be studying in this consumer protection, which will be given 7 marks. So in all, the question paper will be carrying the questions worth 139 marks, where you will be writing for 100 marks. So this is very, very essential for you to know. And most important next thing is, so we'll discuss about the question paper pattern. Now, in this question paper pattern, as you can see, so we have 5 parts. So section A, B, C, D and E. Now, what is this section A? In this section A, they will be giving you 12 questions of 1 mark each. So, you will be writing one word answers or in one sentence. That is enough. So, in this first section A, you will be given 12 questions. Out of that, you will be answering any 10 questions. As each question carries 1 mark, so you will be awarded 10 marks. So, it is most important for you to see that you brush up your 1 mark questions, because even if you don't answer one question, you will be losing 1 mark. So, you will be losing your 100%. Then, next one, section B, answer any 10 of the following questions. Again, in section B, you will be given 12 questions. Out of this, you will have to answer only 10 questions. Each question carries 2 marks. So, 10 into 2 is 20. Now, section C, it will be a 4 marks question. So, you will be asked to write in 7 to 10 sentences. So, in this section C, you can answer any 7. So, out of 10 questions, you will be answering 7 questions. So, 7 into 4 comes up to 28. Next, section D, you will be given 6 questions. Out of the 6 questions, you will have to answer 4 questions. So, any 4 of the following. So, 4 questions for section D, and each question will carry 8 marks. So, 4 into 8 comes up to 32. And last but not the least, and very, very important and a very high scoring section, that is section E. That is the POQ, or the practical oriented questions. So, in this practical oriented questions, so you will be given 3 questions. Out of that, you will have to answer any 2 of these questions. So 2 into 5, it comes up to 10. So, this is the question paper pattern for the second PUC Business Studies. Next, we come to the textbooks for reference. Now, we have the textbook for NCERT Class 12 Business Studies Part 1 and textbook for Class 12 Business Studies Part 2. So, that is Business Finance and Marketing. So, this is the name for Part 2 and Business Principles and Functions of Management. So, this is Part 1. In this session, I have covered almost what are the contents of the syllabus and weightage for each, and also the question paper pattern. Next, it is also important for you to see that you answer well. So, your handwriting should be very neat and legible, and then you see that you go well prepared to the class. And then in case you know more than one question, suppose there are 12 questions which have been asked and you are given a choice of 10 questions, then what should you do? If you have time, you attempt all the questions. So in case you lose one of the marks in any other question, then you will be allotted this marks. And again, in this 8 marks question also, if you are not sure about any one question, it's okay, but then you should try to see that you answer almost all the questions. Answers which carry the higher marks will be taken for counting of your marks. Okay, so I wish all of you all the best, and let us meet in the forthcoming sessions of business studies. Thank you.